Welcome to Incredible Idaho. I'm Wayne Walker. We begin our show tonight by taking part in some rather tricky flying with helicopter pilot Jim Pope. Each winter, the Idaho Department of Fish and Game conducts big game counts to determine how well our wildlife populations have fared over the last year. This information is then used to help set hunting seasons. Our state is divided into 99 hunting units. Every year on a rotating basis, Fish and Game flies a portion of those units that are important big game habitat. Our flight will take us over Unit 22, a strip of beautiful mountainous country located between Brownlee and Hells Canyon dams, known for its large herds of deer and elk. The producer of our show, Sue Nass, rode along with pilot Jim Pope and tried her hand at counting wild animals from a helicopter. Well, welcome to the other side of the camera here, Sue, but more importantly, how'd the helicopter ride go?
I'll tell you, Wayne, it was a humbling experience. It was just incredible to see those big herds of deer and elk from the air, but I think what amazed me the most was both the skill involved in flying the helicopter and trying to get an accurate count on so many animals.
Are you ready?
Yeah. The earth drops away as we slowly pick up speed. It's a different experience than flying in a fixed-wing airplane. Surrounded by plexiglass, the Hiller helicopter gives the sensation of being suspended in midair, nothing beneath your feet, and the whole world in front of you. In the distance, Brownlee Reservoir winds through steep foothills, and immediately beneath us, power lines march up from the dam, creating a possible hazard for unsuspecting helicopters.
The Hiller helicopter works really well because the pilot sits in the middle and the observers sit on the outside, so they have the best view.
It's easy to get caught up in the view and forget why we're flying. But we're brought back to reality by pilot Jim Pope, who spots our first group of animals.
Well, if you look straight ahead there, you'll see about a couple hundred elk coming up on.
Oh, yeah.
What you usually do is first you sight the, when you first sight the animals, you try to get a total number while you're coming in. Okay, right here, Sue, see that?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so now it'll be your job to get a total number before they start moving.
10?
It's the easiest time to count.
I got 10. Well, that seemed pretty easy. But before I could get too confident, Jim explained the next step.
The counting the total number is really quite simple. What's difficult is more the classifying.
Oh.
So what you try to classify them in different age groups. Now with these deer that we're working on right here, the antlers have already dropped, so you can't tell whether you have any bucks in there unless you look really close. So what we're doing is classifying fawns and adults.
So what do you look for? Size?
So size is your first indication, but lots of times a yearling animal will be the same size as some of your fawns at times, say a small yearling. So you have to look at several things. Normally it's a short nose on the fawn, the ears will look larger, and they'll have a darker stripe on their back than the adult. So when we get some out in the sun here, we'll have you classified.
Oh, boy. All this from the air? Our earlier confidence drains away as we take a second pass at our group of deer.
You try to pick the smaller ones out of there at first.
Okay.
And then when you think you have a small one, look at these.
Like the last one to the left one's smaller and it looks darker.
Right. Two on the rear there are both fawns.
Oh.
That's about the only fawns in there.
Wow, that's tough. You get pretty close, don't you? This area is one of the best sources in the state for long-term trend data on deer populations. It's been surveyed since 1960 and has averaged about 2,500 deer. This number escalated in the late 80s. But deer are subject to weather trends, and several years of drought, followed by a harsh winter, took its toll on the herd. Wildlife biologist Jeff Rollman has been tracking Unit 22 for the last decade.
The winter of 92-93, which most people in southern Idaho are pretty familiar with, we lost a lot of our deer. Our herds took a pretty severe drop, and And so, we've been monitoring them every year since to follow the growth. And so far, it's looking like we're recovering pretty well. We're getting up almost back to those late 80 figures.
Elk are a hardier breed and seem less susceptible to weather trends. It looks like a small army marching up the hill in endless numbers.
Now, when you come up on a group of elk this size, if they're spread out like these are, you try to get your total number count before you do any classifying.
Wow, that's a lot to count.
So you have to learn to count quickly, get it before the elk move.
I fail miserably, losing track of the sections I've already counted as they cross and blend into a larger group.
They don't seem real spooked by the helicopter.
No, they don't, unless you get right over them. There's very little movement on these elk. It doesn't bother them that much.
The next herd we spot is a bit more manageable for a rookie observer. I counted 25 on our first pass. The adult males don't lose their antlers until mid-March or early April, so the next step is to get a number on the bulls.
I see 4 bulls.
Okay. Now you have to age them, like to the size. You'll have spikes, branch antler. Most of those are spikes in there. You have 2.5-year-old.
Looks like about 3 calves, maybe.
Jim swings the helicopter around for another look. He's been flying big game counts for the Fish and Game Department for over 25 years, and his experience shows.
Calves will have a dark stripe down their back, darker than the adults, all the way to their shoulders. Short head, and they should be smaller.
The herd crests the ridgeline and splits, giving us a spectacular panorama of elk, mountain, and skyline as we pull away. Although this manner of counting wild animals seems wonderfully exotic and a bit overwhelming to the first-time observer, in reality it's actually a very methodical process.
Well, like I say, we contour 500-foot elevations, and pilot, it's more or less his responsibility to keep track of the groups and make sure you don't recount. Lots of times the group animals will work uphill on you, so you have to be careful of that.
Well, there's a couple up high.
We've spotted 3 big bull elk with huge racks moving up the mountainside. The older bulls tend to hang together in what biologists call bachelor groups. They keep to the higher country, away from the cows, calves, and younger spike bulls. Jim demonstrates the amazing maneuverability of the helicopter, swinging the ship around so we can get another look at the big bulls. It's a beautiful sight, and one Jim never tires of, no matter how often he flies big game counts.
Oh, it's a living. Yeah, I hesitate to guess how many deer and elk I've looked at in my lifetime. It's a number.
See, there's one whitetail in there with a couple of mule deer.